O Brahman, O the limitless, O the boundless, O the eternity, O the sense of self-awareness, lead us from the darkness to light. O Brahman, O the limitless, O the boundless, O the eternity, lead us from untrue to true. O Brahman, O limitless, O the boundless, O the sense of self-awareness, or pure consciousness, lead us in the path which has no fear. Lead us in the path which has no doubt in ourselves. Somebody, have you heard of the band The Beatles? Somebody ask the Beatles guru, I hope you are following my words. I hope you are following what I am saying. You have heard of the Beatles in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Beatles, the band, they became very interested in yoga and meditation, and they started frequently visit India. You see, when you become interested in your well-being, when you become interested to know what you really are, the direction you head towards is the direction of yoga and the direction of meditation. And when you head towards the direction of yoga and meditation, then the direction you head towards is India. If you are serious enough about your well-being. However, no matter what part of the globe you are, you don't have to travel that far. You can achieve the results no matter whatever part of the earth you are. Anyway, I would cut it short. I have chosen personally this topic. During the week, I've been working and there are quite a few inquiries that have gathered, but I have gathered this inquiry and you would see everything what I am trying to tell you. So in late 1960s and early 70s, the Beatles, the band from Britain, I'm sure everyone knows them. They were an epic back in years. They became very interested in yoga and meditation, and they started frequently visiting India. And they stumbled upon of a yogi. His name was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was a Hindu yogi, and he was a brilliant yogi. He was an absolutely brilliant yogi. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi visited Britain and America and Canada and other parts of the world. And one time, I think he was probably here somewhere in New York, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and he was answering the questions from the journalists, the newspaper people. He was answering the questions from the journalists. And one of the journalists um, raised a question and she asked Maharishi Mahesh Yogi that people seem to think or people seem to believe that you have sacred powers or divine powers. You understand the question? She said that people seem to think or people seem to believe that you have divine powers or the sacred powers. And Maharishi Mahesh Yogi smiled and kind of chuckled, but not with arrogance. He didn't have any arrogance in him. He was a real yogi. So he smiled and chuckled and he looked at the journalist and said, everyone has divine or sacred powers. Every human has divine or sacred powers. It's just a matter who has the awareness of it and who doesn't. That was the Beatles' guru, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the band Beatles. So if you conduct the life process consciously, you are consciously aware that you have divine or sacred powers. When you conduct the very process of life consciously, you become aware of your powers. It's not that you do something physical or you do some spiritual practice, hence you are creating or giving birth to the divine or sacred powers. It's not that. It's just that every human has divine and sacred powers. However, if you are unaware of it, then you would think something really miraculous happening, if you know what I mean. The person who has the awareness, he knows it is already in me. That's why we use the term in English about this spiritual process, self-realization. Means you are realizing. It means you already have it, but you are realizing, self-realization. You see, that's why we use the term. I would give you an example. Since thinking or thought plays a very significant role in your daily life. As a matter of fact, you don't know life in any other way but through thinking. It's not the limitation of life, it's the limitation of your perception that you only know life through thinking. You don't allow yourself to know life in any other way. It's not the limitation of life, it's the limitation of yourself. But once you allow to know life beyond the thought process, beyond the fear, beyond the doubts, then you truly realize what you are. And you realize being human is immense. As one of my mentors, Sadhguru, he says that I am not a superhuman, but being human is super. You see, that's a brilliant statement. Anyway, we will go further. Since thinking or thought plays a very significant role in your life, we would make you understand through the very thought process you have. Imagine. Imagination. You see, you use your imagination quite a bit, basically, mostly about things, sadly and unfortunately, that bring fear and doubt in yourself. However, that the bearer of the good news is what I am, and that can be changed, you see. So, thinking, imagine, excuse me, Imagine that you are in a room and the room is all dark. You see, are you following? I want your focus intact. I'm trying to make you understand about the sacred powers. I'm answering your inquiry. Imagine you are in a room and the room is total dark. You see, I'm sitting here right now, but the sun hasn't come out yet, so you cannot see me. However, as soon as the sun comes out, I am sitting all around. It's not that I just appeared. Just like that, imagine if you are sitting in a room and the room is totally dark, and then somebody turns the light switch on. Electricity or the power, whatever you want to call it, runs through the wires and reaches the bulb, you see. And what happens is, as soon as it reaches the bulb, there is light. Now you see in the darkness that it was total dark before. I hope you're following everything I'm saying. It's very significant for you to understand. And then what happens is, somebody turns the light switch on, and then you see there are 15 people sitting in the room. As soon as light falls on those people, there are 15 people sitting in the room. So I'm going to ask you a very simple question, a very easy question. Since you have been following my words, here's the question. Here we go. Did those 15 people suddenly appeared in the room? Or those 15 people have been there? You see, that's the question. And then the person who turned the light switch on in the very first place cranks up the voltage. As soon as the voltage is cranked, you see there are 50 people sitting, because the voltage was cranked, and now the light is falling even farther, and you see there are 50 other people sitting over there. Somebody cranks the voltage again, and you see the whole room is lit now, and there are 1,000 people are sitting in the room. You see where I am going with this. Those 1,000 peoples have been sitting in the room all along. They did not just appear out of nowhere. But since there was no light, there was darkness, obviously you couldn't see those 1,000 peoples. It's the limitation of your perception. It's not the limitation of the experience. The experience is those 1,000 peoples are sitting all alone in that room. So this is the example that I made it very clear to you. I hope it has been clear to you that everyone has divine or sacred powers. Every human is totally capable, not even capable, but every human has the divine or sacred powers. Already it's in the person, it's in the being. There are two type of people, the one who are totally aware of these powers, and number two who is unaware. The one who is unaware looks at the one who is aware as this person is a superhuman, or this person is some type of magician, or this person it is some type of superhuman, and they look up to such a person. So there is no need to look up to anybody. There is no need to look down upon anybody. You see, just look within, look inwards, and become dedicated to your well-being. It always starts from your well-being, and then It goes all the way to tap on the sacred or the divine powers. So you understand, it can be triggered with the dedication towards simple practices. It can be triggered through when you make amends in your life, when you disband, you see, when you disband yourself from the lies, when you disband yourself from the gossips, you clear your vacuum, you empty it, so you become more receptive to the truth. You see, if all your faith has been invested in superstitions, in gossips, in backbiting, in greed, in how do I get this? If all your energy and faith is invested in conditional petty things, then of course you cannot be receptive no matter what amount of yoga or meditation you do. You see, you can bring a little bit energy up and it would subside or disappear very quickly. You see, it would never stay. So you have to go through a total transformation and make amends and get rid of the negative or nasty traits. It's very significant for you. You see, now the sun has started to come out. You see, I bring you out from the darkness to light if you only pay attention. So you need to look at the story of your life and see if something needs to be changed. And then you empty it. In the end, what remains is nothing. And that is the point that you become receptive. Imagine a big rubber band ball, not too big though. Imagine a rubber band ball. Too many rubber bands are tied with each other. You separate rubber bands one by one by one. In the end, all remains is the space. Now all the rubber bands are separate, just like that. You you make amends and you get rid of the nasty human habits and nasty human conditioning in you. In the end, what remains are the sacred powers. It's not that you just gave birth to the sacred powers or divine powers. The sacred powers or the divine powers have been there all along. Please know that. So remember, as I always tell you, remember the word remember. So remember that every human has it, you see. Sometimes people inquire me about these things. Sometimes they say that we believe you have secret powers or divine powers. And I tell them every human being is perfectly capable and have those powers. It's just a matter that who is aware of it and who isn't. Om Shiva Om Namah Shivaya. When you become so receptive to truth, when you have taken all the rubber bands off the ball, when you have got rid of all the nasty habits, when your faith and your awareness is not invested in the lies of jealousy, the lies of contemplation, the lies of backbiting and gossips, the lies of planning to get even or scheming to get even. When you look at the entire creation with one eye, and that eye is the way you perceive yourself, you perceive everybody. When you become absolute justice, when you become absolutely fair with yourself, you tap on those divine or sacred powers that you already have. And then you do some physical and spiritual practices. You see, you make time for yourself. Remember, I keep saying that every morning, sit attentive, just like I am sitting. Rest your body but attentive. Pay attention to your breathing, which is a very generic and very easy thing to do and does not require any outside help. Just sit attentive, pay attention to your breathing for some time. That's life going inside, that's life going outside, then inside, then outside. You are consciously aware of the life process. You are paying gratitude to life for all the blessings and happiness it has brought in you. Life is very precious. Life is a beautiful gift. We have been waiting to take this form for an unknown period of time. This time is very important. Let's make the best out of it. Let's become interested in our well being. Let's become interested in self exploration. Let's pay attention to the useful things, but not the useless things, such as where anyone is from, or how a person talks, or what color of skin the person carries, or where the person is coming from. This is all useless, nasty human conditioning and serving no purpose in our daily life. Each time I speak the words of truth and wisdom, I bring clarity in your perception, such as when I started this video, it was dark and now the light has become prominent. Your perception is clear, each time a little more clear after hearing the words from Sacred. A mystic, a mystic who experiences life firsthand, a mystic who triggers the sacred or divine powers within. You see, a mystic who experiences life firsthand, a mystic who taps or triggers the divine or sacred powers within. A mystic is realized about the law of attraction. A mystic is realized about the law of manifestation. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Shiva, Om Santi. O Brahman, O the sense of self-awareness, pure consciousness, the eternity. O Brahman, lead us from darkness to light. O Brahman, lead us from untruth to truth. O Brahman, lead us in the way which has no fear. O Brahman, lead us in the way which has no doubt in ourselves. O Brahman, lead us in your path, the path of divinity and the path of truth.